this blueprint, this structure is a great example of what I feel mastering everything looks like, right? It's having these habits that work all aspects of your being. And then also the bomb or bombs slowly getting dropped, slowly getting cut off, slowly getting kicked out of the kayak one by one, right? But I think that ultimately, at least from my life, and I think for greatness, is to just be like the master of those things, to just like, why have them even a little bit in your life? Like what does that really do? Rather than just like having your nervous system completely cleaned out and cleared out, and all these little dopamine addictions, these little hits like cleared out and cleaned out, right? And that's the path that I'm on, and I hope that you guys are walking that with me. Give yourself credit and see the inner warrior in yourself, see the inner lion in yourself who is fighting this battle, who is working towards greatness, right? What's up, guys? Welcome to Lion's Heart. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining a very powerful tactic called 4 pillars, 1 bomb. And what this tactic does, as we'll see in the video, is that it works and exercises all parts of your mind, all parts of your being. And this is very important on the path to self-mastery and the path to growth and the path to doing something great with your life. Because if we just focus on one aspect of our mind, like meditation, we might lose skills and abilities in aspects of creativity and writing and art, right? Or if we don't focus enough on study and knowledge and reading, we might, there might be a large amount of information that we don't get our hands on, right? And so this rule of thumb, 4 pillars, 1 bomb, is a very interesting way to look at it. And it's a very kind of a paradigm shift of how your habits look, and then kind of a really cool structure and blueprint for where you can kind of creatively in your own authentic way place and build the habit structures that you want within this framework, right? So I'm really excited to share this. And before we begin, I do just want to really emphasize and kind of come from a place of compassion and understanding. I've been doing this for a while, working on myself, working on my habits, and it really requires a lot of patience and a lot of compassion. And I know here I talk about, be a dopamine beast and meditate every morning and these things, but I really want to come from more of the heart today and really, just connect with you on how difficult that can be, especially in the world today where we're just bombarded with so much stimulation and junk that really, and we've grown up with it, right? It's part of our being now. And to really unwire that and to really change that in a deep, lasting way is a very long and it's a very long journey, right? And we need to be strategic about it, and we need to enjoy the ride, and we don't need to whip ourselves and beat ourselves up. Just walking this path, you're already doing enough. You're already doing more than 95% of people who just surrender to it and go the path of least resistance. So give yourself credit and see the inner warrior in yourself, see the inner lion in yourself who is fighting this battle, who is working towards greatness, right? The point is that you're moving forward and that you're compassionate with yourself, right? And the mind and the body are like an ecosystem, and we really need to understand that when we have been doing something for 15, 20 years, like drinking coffee or playing video games or watching an online adult content, these kinds of things, like they're structured into our neural pathways, right? So we need to understand that it's not just a simple on-off thing, right? There's a very strong pull in our neurophysical, brain that is like, it's working on like a subconscious level, right? And we can't, from the conscious, we can't just like completely change that, right? It's going to need to take its own time. It's going to need to take its own process. And just like an ecosystem, even if it's a toxic habit, like a toxic plant in an ecosystem in a jungle, the things around that plant, like the ecosystem has adjusted to that plant, right? So we need to see that with our habits, that our body minds have actually adjusted to our addictions. And when we remove them, there's going to be a backlash from that. There's going to be a disruption in the system. You might get depressed. You might get sad. You might get cravings. You might, there's a whole plethora of things that can happen when we start to tinker with that system and remove things and then also add new, maybe more beneficial habits, right? So patience, strategy, self-love, self-compassion, and enjoying the ride. This is an amazing journey to take to work towards being your best self, towards reaching your full potential. And there might even be a time in life later on, hopefully not, but maybe like way later on, where you say, damn, I kind of miss having like bad habits to get rid of. Like I kind of liked that challenge of cutting out these things and then feeling the benefits of that. And now I'm just, I'm meditating every day. I'm working out, I'm reading, I'm just crushing it. I'm not, drinking. I'm not doing anything that's like stimulating my system. And there's nothing to, there's no more growth, right? There's no more things to, like cut out and like kind of like be that samurai about and, kind of crush. So enjoy it too. Like enjoy the path, enjoy the journey. And, I do think that you will get to a point where you're not missing these days. Like you're just like feeling so good in your nervous system and in your mind and body. You're definitely not going to miss being addicted to things, but I kind of just share that as a way to, just have a different perspective and make this fun instead of this like grueling, grinding process. Really enjoy the process of becoming the best you, this process of mastery, because it's badass and you're a badass for doing it. So with that, we will dive into the structure here, and I hope you guys enjoy. And I want you to understand and kind of keep in the back of your mind that each one of these pillars is really working on a certain part of your mind, your being, your aspect, your body, and your soul, right? So what we're doing is we're hitting all angles of the mind-body ecosystem, right? And this is very important because, as I said earlier, you don't want to be too heavy on one thing, right? You want to be integrated, whole, and balanced, right? So with that in mind, I want you to see this as different aspects of your ecosystem, and we're just working them all. They're like different muscles, and we're working all the muscles, right? All right, so pillar number 1 is emptiness and being. So what this is this is a habit where you simply are in silence with yourself. You're simply resting in being. You're simply doing nothing, right? There's no noise happening. There's no input. There's no stimulation. You're not creating anything. You're not writing anything. You're not studying anything. You're not, even working out, right? This is a period where you're just simply resting in emptiness and nothingness, right? And what this does is this allows your mind to integrate and process life. It begins to rest your mind, rest your nervous system, and it can even help with awakening and spiritual awakening, where you start to rest into that awareness that you actually are. You can begin to kind of get space from the ego, get space from the body mind, and go more and more into that emptiness, that void, that spaciousness, right, that you truly are. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a spiritual practice, but I do think, something like meditation or self-inquiry could be a great coupling to this habit, right? So, but it's not required. You can kind of adjust this and make this how you want, but I really recommend time in your day where you're just sitting in silence, right? And this can be done out in nature. You can sit at a park bench. You can, sit in home in a chair. But what I recommend is you just set a timer for however long you want to do this. And you just give yourself that time in the day to simply be, right? It's like this is emptying your mind. This is called the emptiness pillar, right? Because this is where your mind is just emptying. You're just resting and being. You're processing your own things. There's no input. You're not doing anything. You're not stimulating anything. You're simply just resting in, your own awareness and allowing your mind to move through things, right? So for me personally, this looks like meditation. Every morning I usually typically hit an hour. So this is me just sitting, resting in being, resting in awareness for 1 hour every morning. And this is a very strong pillar for me. And I love starting the day with it because, you want to clear the mind before the day starts, and you feel the echoes of that kind of coming out throughout the whole day, right? And it's really just a great way to start the day. Maybe you had dreams. Maybe your mind's a little, morning mind. You're thinking about the day. You're thinking about what you need to do. And just having that time before the phone is on, before anything happens, to just kind of recenter, to kind of come back to yourself, to kind of just get that peace, and then tackle the day from there, right? From a place of clarity, presence, calm. So I think this is a very important pillar, and really this just gives your mind that regeneration, that juice, that peace, and also it helps with awakening. If you do this for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever your time frame is every day, you will slowly start to, on a subconscious level, become more and more, we could say, identified with that awareness and that spaciousness. So as a long-term habit, this can actually lead to like awakening and spiritual realization. So yeah, can't recommend this one enough. The second pillar, pillar number 2, is going to be creativity, right? So this is the aspect of mind where we're creating something. We're using our creative capacities. We're using our ability to bring something into the world that hasn't been there before. And what this does is it tests your knowledge, it tests your skills, it tests your passion, it grows you in your craft, it grows you in your mastery. This doesn't have to be something that other people see or consume, right? This could be drawing a painting that you then throw away. This could be writing a page for a book you're working on and then deleting it, or just writing that book and just working on those skills of writing, right? Or streaming something, creating a video, anything like that, right? And what this does is it works the muscle of being a creator, of bringing something into the world, of using your mind to bring something into the world, like not consuming things, but actually being creative and tapping into your own skills and your own gifts and your own wisdom and bringing something into the world from there, right? So for me, how does this look? This is about 90 minutes to 120 minutes a day of Lion's Heart, this channel here, right? I sit down, I write, I think about things, I contemplate, I create videos, I edit videos, right? So this is me working that muscle of tapping into my own wisdom and bringing it out into a way that's understandable and a way that's consumable, right? So for everybody, this might look different, and the key is not to pressure yourself. You don't have to be Mozart, right? It's just working that muscle in your ecosystem, working that part of your mind of creativity, of bringing something into the world, and then we go from there. All right, pillar number 3 is filling, right? So we've emptied the mind, we've used it to create, and now we're going to fill it. This is the part everybody loves, this consumption, right? But this is not just consumption of toxic bullshit. This is not just consumption of TikTok and scrolling and video games and movies, and we get to just go hog wild with consumption and fill our minds with bullshit. We want to fill our minds with nourishing, high quality stuff, high quality food, right? It's like we're feeding our bodies, but we're feeding our minds with quality nourishment, wisdom, you know? So this can be reading your favorite book. This can be reading some Ken Wilber, reading some Peter Ralston, something like that. And really contemplating the material, really understanding it, maybe journaling as you go and like writing down notes and seeing what you're taking from that. This can be listening to a podcast, right? This can be watching YouTube, but be careful here because there's a lot of garbage on YouTube. You want really high quality stuff. This can be maybe even watching a documentary, but a documentary that's like showing you something, right? Maybe it's like history or you're learning something, right? And what you want to be doing as you're consuming, as you're filling your mind, is creating neural pathways. Like, how is everything connecting, right? How does what Ken Wilber says connect to a documentary you watched on history, right? Like, how is everything connecting? You're still working, right? You're not just passively consuming. You're working on things. You're making connections. You're contemplating, right? So this is a beautiful part of the day because you're feeding your mind. You're filling it with knowledge. It's no longer just you, kind of grinding through, like just sitting with yourself in silence, or, creativity can be very challenging. That can be you have to really push yourself, but filling the mind is kind of enjoyable. You can just read the book. It's a little bit more relaxing. And the final pillar that we have, pillar number 4, is physical, right? So this is the body. And this is probably the most enjoyable one because you really get to take a break from all the mental stuff. This isn't using your mind at all. This is going for a walk. This is going to the gym. This is doing yoga, right? This is something where you are using your body. You're feeling into your body. You're kind of like working out. You're moving. You're doing something that's not in the mind, and it's something that's physical, right? You're giving your body that gift of, movement, and you're giving that body that nourishment of like lifting weights or doing yoga and things like that. And this is so essential because if we just spend our day, most of these things, writing, creating, meditating, reading, it's all sitting, right? It's all sitting. You're not really walking. I mean, you could go for a walk and meditate, and that's actually a good way you could couple those two things together. But it's not really like in your head, right? You're just in the body and you're moving, you're doing things like that. So really important to have a physical pillar, and highly recommend this as well. So the bomb. We arrive. What is the bomb? What do you guys think the bomb would be, right? Based on knowing me and this channel, what do you guys just think the bomb might be, right? And if you know me and you know the channel, the bomb is your worst habit, right? The bomb is the one thing, and most people have this one thing. This is like the lowest hanging fruit. This really kind of like sticky habit, right? And maybe something's coming to the forefront of your mind on this. And if not, that's great. Then this isn't for you. You can apply the bomb to a smaller habit, something that's not as detrimental. But most people have like that one habit that's really holding them back, right? And that's what the bomb is. The bomb is that habit, and it's different for everybody, right? For one person, it might be alcohol. For one person, it might be scrolling and internet addiction. For one person, it might be online adult content. There's so many different bombs for different people. Like one person's bomb does not mean that has to be another person's bomb. They can manage it, the other person can't, right? Or it's just really draining them and taking away their life force and their energy and their focus, right? It's affecting them very negatively. So what is the bomb for you, right? What is that one thing that's really kind of holding you back and hurting you? And a great metaphor and imagery for viewing the bomb is to imagine that you're on a rowing boat, right? And you've got all these guys on the rowing boat, and you're the CEO, you're the captain of the boat, right? And all these guys rowing the boat are your good habits, right? They're your meditation, they're your reading, they're your gym, they're your, study, they're all these things. And then you got one asshole on the boat who's pushing it backwards. He's deliberately sabotaging and keeping the boat from going forward and pushing you back, right? And the metaphor here is that this guy is the bomb. This guy is the boat. Metaphorically represents your growth, your process to becoming great, right? And it's not that the guy in the back is like completely ruining the whole, like he doesn't have that much power unless it's a really bad habit, like a drug addiction or something like that. But like, he's not like bringing you backwards because you've still got 6 other guys moving you forward, right? So you're maybe going forward at like 40 miles an hour, right? But without him there, you'd be going like 100 miles an hour. So what's happening is he's slowing the boat down, right? He's keeping you not moving as quickly and efficiently as you could go, right? And so we need to get this guy off the boat, right? And so the bomb is putting all of your focus on just like, let me just drop this one habit. Let me just drop this one guy. And then there might be other little habits that you have, that we all have, that are still kind of like, like I don't love that I'm doing that. I don't love that I like scroll for an hour at night, or that I am dependent on coffee, or that I, have, wine here and there. But none of those are that bad in comparison to the bomb, right? The bomb is really harming you. The bomb is really detrimental, right? And what we want to do is just put like a lot of focus and really just allow everything else to be there, allow the other habits to be there if they need to be. And we just want to eliminate the bomb and really fully get rid of it, right? So that's the bomb. And I would also like to share gifting yourself, right? This concept of gifting yourself, right? So when you're first working on these things, these 4 pillars in a bomb, like it's going to be very difficult, and there's going to be desires and cravings for other habits, right? It's like maybe we're just weaning off dopamine altogether, right? So the brain is still going to want some dopamine in some form, and you can go gung-ho and just cut it all at once. And if you can do that, good for you. Like do that, do that. But, and ultimately the ultimate gift is being free of everything. It is being calm and good in your own nervous system and not needing scrolling and anything like alcohol, coffee, sugar, these things, and being just okay in yourself, right? I think that's ultimately the gift, right? But on the way there, on the way up the mountain, maybe you're tackling alcoholism, right? And you want your mind sees like coffee as a little escape, or, you know, scrolling on TikTok as a little escape. Do that. Allow your mind to have those gifts. And I'm calling them gifts because it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. Like, they're not actually gifts, they're like addictions, but we're like addicted to them, so they feel like gifts, right? They feel like they're causing some kind of relief and joy. So what I want to say is, like, allow yourself to have those little vices, those little habits, as you're really working on the big stuff, as you're cutting out the, you know, more sticky, more detrimental, more damaging habits, right? And I think this allows us to have more like kind of space and leeway and compassion, and also enjoyment of the process as we do move towards like that dopamine beast, self-mastery self. All right, guys, that's enough for today. I hope that this landed, and I hope that you have a solid understanding on, you know, this theory, this blueprint of 4 pillars, 1 bomb, and you're kind of getting some ideas for how this can work for yourself, how you can, you know, implement this in your own authentic way where you're hitting all of these, you know, aspects. And I do want to say that I understand some of you guys are working a lot, right? You have to work, you have a lot, maybe you have family, you have a lot of obligations, and you don't have like 5 hours a day to, you know, hit all of these pillars for like an hour each. And I want to say that it's more important that you're working those muscles than perfecting the timing, right? So if that means 15 minutes of sitting alone in a chair in silence, and then 15 minutes of reading or a podcast, and then 15 minutes of push-ups, and then 15 minutes of, you know, writing something out, creating something, journaling, right? Working on a book, working on a creative project, then that's perfect, right? It's not about being like super gung-ho about it. It's about just working those muscles as much as you can for now, right? And then try to like position and strategically position your life to where you have more time to do these things, right? And then just let it be, you know, here at Lion's Heart, this is a long-term vision. You know, I plan to do this for the rest of my life, and I really think that this is a life journey, right? So there's no like huge rush, but we want to be strategic, and we do want to be moving forward and gaining progress and gaining momentum, right? We don't want to get stagnant. We don't want to get stuck. We want to always be moving the pen a little bit every single day, but in a sustainable way that feels good and it's fun and it's enjoyable, right? So utilize your mind's capacities, take advantage of the time we live in today, all the knowledge and the wisdom that we have. Kindles, you can just download 40 years of wisdom and read it in a month. You know, it's pretty incredible. So there's no reason that you can't become a master. You can't become a wise one. You can't master these habits. And what I love, as I've said before, is just laying those bricks. And you just lay 1 brick a day. Next thing you know, you've got a mansion, right? So I think that this is such a healthy way to really hit all aspects of your being, right? And we want to remove the asshole on the kayak who is holding us back. We don't want that guy on our kayak. He's causing problems, right? And I love this idea of like all pistons firing, right? And that's what that Dopamine Beast video I made is about. It's like, you want all pistons firing. You want everything going for you to move forward. Like, why have anything holding you back, right? All these little vices, all these little things, we're conditioned to think like, oh, don't be hard on yourself. It's just a little scrolling. It's just a little, you can have that wine. You can, and I understand where that's coming from. But I think that ultimately, at least from my life, and I think for greatness, is to just be like the master of those things, to just like, why have them even a little bit in your life? Like what does that really do? Rather than just like having your nervous system completely cleaned out and cleared out, and all these little dopamine addictions, these little hits, like cleared out and cleaned out, right? And that's the path that I'm on, and I hope that you guys are walking that with me. And like I said, we're in this together, and you know, this is a fun process. We're going to be strategic. Remember, we're like warriors, right? We're like warriors in a battle, right? And I really want to come from the heart with this, is like, I feel for you guys. I feel for you because I'm in it too, right? But I want us to chop the heads off these demons one by one and look back and realize we've mastered it, right? We've mastered it. When 99.9% of the world is drowning in these things, even the ones who meditate, even the ones who create powerful music and powerful art, very few people have really mastered like everything, right? And this blueprint, this structure is a great example of what I feel mastering everything looks like, right? It's having these habits that work all aspects of your being. And then also the bomb or bombs slowly getting dropped, slowly getting cut off, slowly getting kicked out of the kayak one by one, right? And we got this shit. Like, we really got this. It's just, you keep getting up, you keep dusting the fucking dirt off, and you keep going, right? And you never quit, right? You just get the fuck back up and you keep going, right? And next thing you know, you're going to be a lion. So I love you guys. Let's do this shit. Talk soon.